Here, I want to talk about how to build self confidence. Maybe I should word that differently. How I built self confidence. Because I'm sure there's more than one way. I'm sure what works for me could be different than what works for other people. Although this is kind of my process on um, kind of where I got my confidence from. So I'll share with you what it's all about. Okay, so early on in business, I was taught a saying. They say there's only two things you can control, and is attitude and activity. Okay, so I'm going to dive into that statement a little bit more to give you the Kevin Ewan understanding version of that. So the only two things you can control is attitude and activity, right? So I'm going to start with the activity and then I'll go into the attitude. And from just this one statement, I realized and I see a lot of things in my life in this way now is there's always a tangible side and there's always an intangible side. And I find that the tangible side, good morning, everyone. I find that the tangible side is probably the easier one to talk about. Is it very logical? Is it very linear? Is it very A, B, C, D? So I'll talk about the logical first, and then we'll spend majority of the time on the intangible, which is the attitude. So let's talk about that statement. All you can control is your attitude and activity. So let's talk about building confidence on a activity standpoint. So first thing I knew is it had to be worked on daily. I knew that if I want to achieve something in my life, it had to be a daily focus. Why? Because it's something that's supposed to be long term. It's supposed to be something that creates different habits. And it has to be done daily for that to become a daily lifestyle of mine, as opposed to do it highly intense for short period of times. Now, high intense short period of time activity, there is a time and a place for that. Although long term, the daily disciplines is what makes the big difference. Okay, so it has to be done daily. You see, why I also work towards daily because I have it in my mindset that if I just got better 0.03% of a day, year after year, I'm 100% better. You know the saying, Rome's not built in a day? There's a second part to that saying, right? Is Rome was built daily. It wasn't built in a day, but it was built daily, right? You see, there's nothing that we're really excited or proud about or prideful about unless we earn it. And that it comes with the rolling up the sleeves. We call it the blood, sweat, and tears in focus every day to making that part of our life better, right? So it has to be done daily. I always ask myself, what am I going to do today to get me closer to my goals? Daily, all right? You know, we always underestimate what we can do long term and overestimate what we can do short term, right? Whenever we talk short term, people always got these massive, big time godly goals, and a lot of times we miss, which is okay as long as you get further ahead. Uh, However, when I look at a 10-year time frame, we tend to shortchange ourselves. We set too small of a goal, right? So I know that if I focus daily all the time, what am I doing today to get me closer to my goal? Compounded over time, long period of time, I'm going to get to where I got to go, right? Then it makes it easy. It's like bite size, right? There's a saying, how do you eat an elephant? A bite at a time, right? And how do I conquer and master these big goals? Is all about a day at a time. You only got to be 0.03% better a day to be 100% better year after year, right? And I'd rather go through these challenges now, right? I say having a tougher life now so I can have an easier life down the road is way better than having an easy life now and a tough life down the road. You know, I've been broke. I've been to a place where I had no money. I've been to a place where, you know, all you hear about is mom and dad fighting about money, and that's tough for me. I don't want to live that life long term. So I'd rather go do the things that get me uncomfortable today so that we can live a life where we don't have to think about those things. Right? So I gotta choose my tough, you know, failing is tough, succeeding is tough. I gotta choose my tough. I gotta choose the one that feels good for me. All right. So these are just kind of the day to day things that I go through on my own to get me going. I know that input equals output, right? So This works for everything. I know we talk a lot about business a lot of times, sales. Let's talk about fitness, right? Input equals output. What you put in equals what shows on the outside, right? So on a day-to-day basis, I know in my mind that if I do the work to get me to where I got to go every day, is a matter of time until I get to where I want to go. It's just a matter of time, right? Input equals output. I put the road less traveled, right? That's just common sense to me. If I'm talking about fitness, there's more people out of shape in the world than the people that are in shape. So what most people are doing, I probably should do the opposite. If I'm talking about financial security, there's more people who are financially stable than those who aren't. So if I go the road less traveled, do what the smaller percentage of people are doing as opposed to the masses, I'm gonna have a better chance. Sometimes I don't even know what that is. Although if the masses are going this way, typically I want to go the other way, right? And then I put on here the last part when it comes to the action part. I put numbers game, right? I have I guess a gift and insight when it comes to numbers is it's simple to me. It's just probability, right? I make up in numbers what I lack in skill, right? So if that guy can do it better than me, if I do it twice as much, I can probably get a similar result, right? Let's talk about sales. If that guy closes 10 out of 10 people and I'm only closing 1 out of 10, if you put me up against that guy, I'll win because after he sees 10 people, he closed 10 people. He's so good. He's chilling. He's relaxing, right? While he's chilling it, I'm killing it, right? So I'm only closing 1 out of 10. However, I'm not losing. So I'm going to go see 110 people and I end up closing 11. And results is all that matters. So at the end of the day, I have 11 accounts and he has 10. Okay, well, then I win. Now, if I go see 110 people when he's seeing 10, long term, do you think I'm going to stay at a 1 out of 10 ratio? No way. Like that doesn't make sense in my mind. The more I do, the more I'm going to get better. So next thing you know, I'm at a 2 out of 10. And next thing you know, I'm at a 3 out of 10. You know, I work hard until I learn how to work smart. Here's the difference though. Most people, once they figure out how to work smart, they chill, right? What we need to do is once we figure out how to close 5, 6, 7 out of 10, we still go to see the 110 people and end up with 60, 70 accounts as opposed to reverting to this other guy that, you know, is not winning in this scenario, right? So on an activity standpoint, action standpoint, that's what it's all about. I got to just put in the numbers, I put in the work, I do it on a daily basis, knowing that long term, that's what's going to get me to where I got to go. Okay, so that's the activity side. So all you can control is attitude and activity. Okay, let's talk about the attitude, and they kind of seep into each other. Okay, so on the attitude standpoint, even when I'm talking about the numbers thing, there's a lot of attitude in that too. Like I said, they kind of coexist, right? So I don't know where it came from. I'm sure you have it too. If you're sitting here listening to this, there's always something inside of you where you knew you were supposed to win big. You know, a lot of people out there might not understand that about me. However, I sit there and I know that about myself. You can probably relate to that. There are probably people around you that don't think, you know, they think you're a little nutty. They think you're a little bit crazy thinking how you're thinking. However, you know, on the inside, you're supposed to do something, right? I've had that planted in me long time ago. Even though everything on the outside did not look like it, and if you were doing outside assessment, you would not bet on that. Although I know on the inside, I knew I was supposed to do something. I knew I was the SHIT. Like I knew I had that in there somewhere. Okay, I knew that. I also know what I had. I had what it took to win. I don't know how to explain it because everything on the outside, we weren't winning. We were broke. I was out of shape. Like everything about me would not tell you that on the inside I have this freaking giant in me that I knew was supposed to do something massive, right? So how do I draw that out? How do I get that to be congruent, right? Oh, I put this down. This is good. I asked for the ball for last second. I'm not a big sports player. I'm not very athletically gifted, although I love watching sports. And when there's that sport player like Michael Jordan, let's say, that asked for the ball in the last second, I can resonate with that guy, right? My arena might not be basketball. However, I knew that if it came down to it, I want to be the guy. you know? So I knew there's always that fire in there for me to be somebody, right? So, how do I do that? A big part of the attitude is I don't know where it came from, although this is how my brain operates, is I learned to look for reasons, right? I learned to look for reasons. You see, other people outside always look for reasons on why I shouldn't do it or why I couldn't do it or why I'm not a winner. Somewhere inside, I've always learned to look for the reasons on why I would win. And I only need one, right? If you give me 1,000 reasons on why I shouldn't do something and I can find one reason, I'm good to go, right? I'm good to go. For example, success in business didn't come quick for me. So instead of communicating with my mind that I'm a slower guy, maybe I'm not meant to make it, I communicate with my mind that, okay, if I'm still here now, I'm supposed to make it. You see what I'm saying? Right? I dropped out of university just due to my family situation. It didn't make sense for me to continue down that road anymore. At a time now, this was a long time ago. I've been in business for 17 years. So at a time where a university degree was highly sought after, there's a little bit less today, but at a time it was. So in my mind, I go, if I dropped out of university, what's my chances? I still hear people say that today. Oh, I don't have a degree, so I'm just going to go do this, right? So in my mind now, I start searching, I start looking, and then I start to find that how many successful people are actually university dropouts. And then it confirms to me that if they can do it, I can do it too, right? So that's one key thing about my attitude. I always look for reasons to tell me why I'm supposed to do it, right? I'm always going to flip it around. A lot of you guys gave me some feedback, a lot of good reactions, showed me some love on a picture I just recently posted on my physical transformation over the last year and a bit. And this is what I mean by flipping it, all right? So do I have a six pack? No. Do I have ways to go? Yeah. Daily discipline, right? Now, if you were to ask me who's a better fitness trainer, you put me up and there's a guy next to me that has a six pack. I don't have a six pack, not showing anyway. I would bet on me, right? And this is what I mean by flipping it. I go, I don't know. That guy was probably always fit. He always knew what it was like to have discipline, right? I on the other hand knew what it's like to be out of shape. I'm on the other hand knew what it's like to be addicted to eating bad food or grabbing that chocolate bar on the way out. I know on an emotional level what that's like, so I can have a better chance of sharing with you on how to get out of that. So I believe I can be a better fitness trainer based on where I was, right? And I learned to flip it, even on a finance standpoint. People go, what qualifies you? Well, what qualifies me is I was in a lot of debt. So I know what it takes to not be there anymore. I also know what it takes and know what you feel to be in there. So because I didn't have the perfect scenario and I figured it out from the ugly to where I'm at right now, I have a better chance of being a better financial planner than the guy who always knew what to do, right? So I learned how to flip these things, right? And last but not least, on the attitude standpoint, because we're running out of time here, is I learned how to not care what others thought about me. That was big. And it took me a while. And what really helped is I started separating the person themselves and what they're telling me, right? Because it's not about them, it's nothing personal. As a matter of fact, they're a mirror of how I am inside. So, give you an example. I go to school, I get bullied, let's say. Not even let's say, like I gone through that stuff. So now in my mind, I cannot be angry at the bully. I need to ask myself, how come there's a whole school of people and this guy's picking on me, right? Like I need to ask those things, and that allows me to reflect on how to be better. And I start to listen to my feelings, and I started surrounding myself with people who feel me being better than, and I started distancing myself from people who are consistently putting me down. Like I start choosing my environment, right? Maybe I'll tag them. I'll talk about basketball. I'm not very naturally gifted in sports. However, I love watching sports. So I remember younger, I was playing ball, and I get so scared, because I'm not that good of a player. So I'm always passing the ball to somebody else. And And there's one schoolmate, now I appreciate his comments. He goes, Kev, he pulled me aside. He goes, don't pass that ball no more. I want you to shoot. I want you to miss. I want you to know what it feels like, even if you were to miss. I appreciate that message, because there's another time during trials, and I had this phenomenal shot, right? I still remember it because I'm not that good. So when you get a good one, you remember it. However, there was another player he's a way better player than me. And he goes, it's fluke, wasn't it? You couldn't do it again if you wanted to. And what he said, man, I still remember it clear till today. He goes, I can't pull that shot off. So in his mind, he thinks if he's better than me, he can do it. I can't do it, right? So I've always been able to pick these things out. So I start hanging out with this guy more, and I get rid of that guy in my life, right? So I started letting that stuff be feedback to me to tell me who I need to be around, who I need to associate with, who's constantly going to feed me and feed my brain and tell me I can do it. And that's what's helping me. Okay. So anyways, I'm way over, guys. I'm sorry about that. So attitude and activity. I know I can go on for an hour on these two topics, and even just 15 minutes here is not doing it justice. However, that's my 2 bits on attitude and activity, my insights on how I build confidence. All right. So if you like it, hit a like. If you want to share something, please write that in the comments. And I really appreciate it if you were to share it, because you just never know who can use this information. And that's why we're doing this. That's why we're continually putting out content. Is you never know. There's a guy like me out there that can use this information. And with technology nowadays, we can do that. So if you got value from the information, please share it. Okay? Thanks, guys.